Today's sponsor of the Vision Quest podcast is 920 Hat Company. Leather patch hats are in, and 920 Hat Company is here to hook you up with your very own custom hat. All patches are lasered on top-grade genuine leather and on popular brand hats like Richardson and FlexFit. Whether you're looking to show off your business or want a one-of-a-kind hat for yourself, 920 Hat Company can do it all. All the hats are handcrafted right in the Fox Valley, but worn across America. With over 500 hats in stock, they guarantee fast turnaround times. Honestly, Liam, looking at these hats, solid, right?
Yeah, they're pretty. I like them.
I like that patch itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one-of-a-kind stuff. I know his name's Trevor. He does great work. He's actually gotten I think we got a knit hat coming.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we got that coming. So we're really excited to have these guys on board as a sponsor. So get down to check them out on Facebook. I believe they're on Instagram. Check them out, man. They got the best hats, I think, in the Fox Valley, if not in the state.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So get down to 920 Hat Company on social media and check them out. All right, everybody. We are here with a really cool guest. We don't get a lot of chances to talk to all these guys because, a lot of you guys are busy. You guys are traveling all over the country. You guys are kind of not just here, you're everywhere. We have official Steve Skarda on with us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being on. I wanted to kind of talk to you about officiating and kind of like your role in it and how you got into it and things like that. So I kind of asked you before, you started out in sports. You were an athlete yourself, but you also wrestled, you said. So was that your first sport? Was wrestling your first sport?
It was kind of our family sport.
Oh, wow. All right.
I come from a very large family.
Sure. Okay. How many kids?
9.
Oh, wow.
and it's very extended because I'm 58. My oldest brother is going to be 84 in July.
Oh, wow.
So like when he was in school, I grew up in Coleman. Coleman didn't have wrestling.
Sure.
And then the second one, they didn't have wrestling. And then Dan started into it a little bit. John got a little bit more into it. And then my brother Art really got into it.
Yeah.
And then Randy was a 3-time state qualifier.
Okay.
This is back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And then we had one girl, and she was not just the manager. She was a manager.
We're going to have some of those guys on too. Yep. You bet.
And then Teddy was probably the best wrestler in my family, but
okay.
Teddy, he was a runner-up in no class systems.
Oh, okay. All right. That's interesting.
And then I was the baby of the family. Came along and ended up placing 4th as a sophomore and winning state as a senior.
Okay.
And then tried college, and I was enjoying it a little too much. And my father got hurt, so I moved home and worked on the farm.
Okay.
You get that epiphany on a Friday morning when you're sitting next to a cow milking cows going, is this what my life's going to be?
Yeah.
So I actually, and it was like from coming home to work on the farm, I enlisted in the service.
Okay. Yeah.
Like 3 weeks later.
Okay.
Went in and had the opportunity to wrestle on the All-Navy wrestling team.
Okay.
And when I got to the end of my 4th year, I'm looking at re-enlisting, and all of a sudden my brother, I'm in Europe, and my brother goes, "You should give Coach Cook a call."
Okay.
So I call Cook. I call Cook collect from Italy. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Takes a call, and he says, "Well, if you get out and come here, we'll put you on scholarship." So I got out of the service and went to Parkside and ended up being a 3-time All-American and a national runner-up for him.
Nice. Okay. So Parkside, that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously now seeing those guys and how well they're doing. And I know that program's always been, fairly decent, but that's pretty cool that was kind of your choice coming back home to Parkside. So was it just because of Coach Cook? Did you like the school too? Or how was that decision for you?
My brother, Randy.
Yep.
Was a national champ for them in 74.
Well, then it makes sense.
So, and there was there was a little disconnect between my mom and Coach Cook, so I didn't go there right out of high school.
Okay, I get it.
And it was involving Randy, and all of a sudden Randy's like, "Hey, you should really look into this and go there."
Yeah.
And I've always gotten along with Cook.
Okay.
So, I come back and I go to Parkside, and it's funny because we were just talking. I just got back from watching the D2 Nationals, and
yep,
we're talking about this. So I wasn't afraid of anybody in the room, and Ted Price was right in the top 3 in the country, but he was like 107 pounds.
Yeah.
So I went in and I'm wrestling with, I'd been on the team for about a month, and I'm wrestling with Ted. And I took a shot on him, and he popped his hips in, and he hit the back of my elbow, and my finger got caught in the mat and snapped my finger.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So I went from, winning my first tournament to, you're done for the season in a matter of 48 hours.
Yeah.
So
that was when you were kind of backing up a little bit, though, with the family history that you had, and just like with athletics and being on a farm. So I kind of know the farm dynamic a little bit. I mean, was that something, even though you had so many kids on there to help, but was that one of the things where when you were a youth, your parents like, no, we need you here to do this? Or were they a pretty good support system when it came to sports for you?
My dad, this is going to sound funny.
Sure.
My mother was one of 13.
Oh, God.
And my dad was an only child.
Holy cow.
And you've seen me stand on the mat. You'd be shocked to know that my dad was about 6'2".
Very shocked. Yes.
Okay. And he was a very good athlete. And so that you got to think of this in the 30s, late 30s, early 40s.
Yep.
He's 5'10", 5'11", and 175, 180 pounds. He's a big guy.
That's a big dude, yeah. But
his mother's afraid that he's going to get hurt, so she wouldn't let him play football, so he quit school. He never graduated from high school.
Crazy. No, that's not too odd for that area, back then. That was pretty prevalent kind of thing,
Correct.
Yep.
So he has 9 kids and never held us out of anything.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Quite the balance for having a farm.
We always had chores to do.
Sure. Yep.
You had your responsibilities as a young kid. You had to get certain things done. And then for me, I mean, it wasn't the same dynamic because I'm the youngest of 9. Everybody else was gone.
They're gone. Sure. Yeah. Yep.
So everything kind of fell, well, obviously mom and dad were there, but then it was me.
Yeah. Yep.
Feeding, cleaning, milking.
Nobody came down to help? Nobody came from
No.
Yeah.
As the youngest, so I was kind of the afterthought.
Sure.
So
yep.
It's people take care of it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody except for like the youngest 3, everybody at that time was married.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Kids and stuff.
So they all had kids and they all had their things. So when they came to the farm, they came to see mom and dad.
Yeah.
But it was an old fashioned. I mean, we had milking machines, but we carried buckets.
Yeah. Yep.
I've
been there. Oh yeah.
And we finally got a barn cleaner, I think my freshman or sophomore year.
Oh, nice. Oof.
If I got a silo unloader, I think I was in middle school when we got the silo unloader. But it was a lot of manual labor.
Okay. Yeah.
But when it gets down to it, I wouldn't have wanted to grow up any other way.
Yeah. Well, and I worked on some milk farms, and I think it's when you're faced with it and like it's something that you're just a part of, it just becomes second nature. But you learn a lot from it. There's a lot of character that can get built on a milk farm, man. I mean, you get humbled by cows every day, right?
Oh,
so every day. Yeah. So it's like getting humbled by a bigger guy or a tougher guy in a wrestling room. Cows they'll turn you around every single day, and you don't know what happens. So, but you came. I mean, being on a farm and growing up that way, and having you actually were kind of instilled work ethic into you. I mean, you had to have work ethic or you weren't making it.
Well. And that's the funny thing, because my mom was my dad was very passive and quiet. My mom was not.
Okay.
And mom would always tell us we were lazy.
Sure.
Okay. So when we got off the farm and we actually started working, we're like, I guess we're really not. We had that grinding mentality.
Yeah.
The work done, you work till it's done. And
yep.
But yeah, that was 100. I went into service and I'm like, well, God, Mom thinks I'm a lazy little bastard. And I'm top of my platoon. So how the heck can that be?
Yeah. How lazy was I really?
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you like Coach Cook, the wrestling room, how was that for you coming in? Was that also because, like you said, going in the Navy, it sounded like you were able to handle yourself because you've been through, whatever it was with, having siblings around in the military. How easy was that for you going into that Parkside room to start practicing with those guys?
Well, when I was in the service, so the All Navy wrestling team had Rob Herman was our head coach. Rob Herman was the great coach up, and so in the late 80s, he had made the 80 Olympic team.
Okay.
And then he was first alternate in 84 and 88.
Okay.
So that's what I wrestled with every day.
He's good.
And Dave Butler was an 88 Olympian.
Yep.
And, when I went in, I wrestled 49 in the first 2 years. And the last year, I wrestled 36 and a half.
Okay.
So I would bounce between those two guys, got along with. And when I got out of the service, they were like, hey, how did you get so good at your duck under and your high crotch? I said, well, you wrestle with a guy that's 5'4" and bent about 350. You're going to grab your head. You have to be someplace else than where he grabbed it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't move, you're going wherever he wants you to go. And so then when I got out of the service, a lot of the guys that were on the team, I didn't know.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So, because I had delayed entry for a year. So I went in 84, the end of 84, got out the end of 88.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark Hamauer and Dennis Duchesne and Kevin Bird and
Kevin Bird, really? Nice.
Oh yeah. Kevin and I go way back.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So none of them guys knew who I was.
Sure.
Ted Price did. I wrestled Ted Price's brothers when we were little kids.
Okay.
So Ted was like, do you want me to tell them? And I was like, absolutely not.
Right.
Like, well, why not? I said, well, they'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. Simple.
And then just everything worked out in the wrestling room.
Mm-hmm.
And, actually, at the first tournament I won was the Don Parker. Well, it wasn't Don Parker Open back then. It was the Eau Claire tournament.
Okay.
And I had to wrestle John Carl, who's the assistant coach at Auburndale. He was our starting 150 pounder.
Okay. Oh man.
I beat him in the finals.
Woo. Sweet.
And it was really funny because I get out in November. I start college in January.
Yep.
And they put me right into the lineup. So we wrestled Chicago State. I lose 8-7. We go down to the Central Missouri Open. I wrestled 2 returning All-Americans and I lose.
You're sure? Yep.
My introduction to college is 0-3. I never lost 3 matches in a row ever.
So that must have been a slight motivator, I take it.
Yeah, a little bit. So our assistant coach, we go up to the Eau Claire tournament, and the assistant coach the graduate assistant at Eau Claire,
yep,
is a guy that I grew up wrestling with from Wabeno.
Okay.
And our assistant coach goes, hey, I have a 50-pounder. He's 0 right now. He's going to win this tournament.
Yep.
And Smith looks at him and goes, you're nuts. So Todd looks at him and says, I'll bet you a case of beer. Our 0-3 50-pounder wins the tournament. Smith goes, you're on.
Okay. Yep.
So in walks, I'm warming up the next morning, and Smith sees, I haven't seen him in 6 years.
Sure. Yeah.
He walks over and he goes, hey, when did you get to Parkside? So I started in January. He goes, well, how you doing? So it's been a rough start. I'm 0-3. And he's like, that son of a... And I wrestled the number one seed is ranked like third in the country. I beat him 8-7 on riding time, and then I went to tournament. I walked through the rest of the tournament.
Oh, nice. They had riding time then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Holy
They've had riding since the 60s.
See, that's kind of the stuff that, like when I talk to like Zach and all these guys who do rankings and things like that, there's certain aspects. I just purchased like the NFHS rules and stuff like that this year because I want to understand more. I feel like sometimes I'm yelling more than I need to.
So, at the college level, and you can't quote me on the decade.
Sure.
But at one time, you could get 2 points riding time, but it was on like if you had 2 minutes of riding time,
sure,
you get an extra top of it.
Yeah.
But now it's just one. So no matter what.
That'd be nice to have those 2 points back, though. I mean, it feels like if a guy's able to get that 2 minutes out of a guy, that seems exemplary nowadays because you just don't see the 2 minutes all the time, kind of thing. But
correct. But those guys that when they get on top, they clamp on, and you're not shaking them.
Yeah.
Anyway, shape.
It's like backpacks. Yeah. Yeah. So college is your freshman year coming in. It was, obviously you said you were 0-3, but then you wound up routing through a tournament. How did your sophomore year round up then?
I think I was 32-7.
Okay.
And I took 6th in the country.
So you were kind of a real deal, man. I mean, you weren't in there to mess around. You were there to get something done, and you got done what you needed to, but you probably didn't meet your own expectations, which I think every wrestler kind of feels that way, but still.
I did not. And I went to Parkside because my brother Randy was a national champ there, and Randy was my hero.
Yeah.
So, and back then, Parkside had these, if you won a national title, they had a life-size mural of you on the wall.
Wow.
Well, I had to wrestle underneath the picture of that ugly SOB every day. So, and I'm being very facetious in that. But it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a motivation. I guess you call it the motivation.
Correct. So, my sophomore year, I go out to nationals, and in the quarterfinals, I wrestled this kid named Amir Ilyasi.
Okay.
He had defected from Iran.
Oh, boy.
And I lose to him in overtime.
Yep.
And we're talking after the match, and he goes, I was really worried about wrestling you. And I'm like, really? I don't even know who the heck you are. He walks through the rest. That was the only close match he had in the tournament.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So he walks through the rest of the tournament, comes back. I get into the back bracket, and the match to make All-American. So if I win this match, I'm in the top 6.
Okay, yeah.
Because back then, it was 7th and 8th was not an All-American. You were honorable mention.
Sure. Okay.
You would be in the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I get slammed. I'm laying on the mat, and one of our volunteer coaches comes out, and he goes, you want to be an All-American? And I'm like, it's a trick question.
Yeah.
He says, then get your butt off the mat and earn it. I hit you harder in practice. Let's go.
Ooh.
And he goes over and he sits down. And the official's looking at him going, I think your kid is hurt.
No,
get up. So I get up and turn the match into a brawl and end up winning like 9-3.
Nice. There you go.
I breathe.
What's that?
Separated ribs on my right side.
You couldn't breathe, yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, doesn't matter. You made All-American. That's all that matters.
Yep. Done.
So then, but definitely not. I went there with the goal of being a national champ.
Sure. Yep.
So then my junior year comes around,
mm-hmm.
and I had gotten married.
In college?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Remember, I was not a kid. I was an adult.
It's very true. No. And I know, but like a lot of times, even now, like you hear, and I know the dynamics and like how schooling and stuff has changed, but like even listening to some of the college kids now that are getting married during the season kind of thing. And even just in college in general, I don't even care about the sports side of it. It just seems like it's a lot to add on.
Anybody that's met my wife,
yep,
knows me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I would not have graduated college had I not met my wife.
Right on.
Okay.
Yep.
She is very much the steadying force, because I could be a wild child and easily distracted, and she just, I mean, we had our daughter,
mm-hmm.
and I had made All-American, and my cousin said, "Hey, I can get you into the mill." I have a child.
Yep.
And I can get you into the mill, blah, blah, up here in Green Bay. My wife is originally from Ashwaubenon. So,
okay.
And I'm like, well, let me talk to Cheryl.
Sure.
And I sit down with my wife, and I says, I want to be a national champ, but I have to take care of our family.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. And Pat said he can get me in at the mill. And if I get it at the mill,
mm-hmm.
and she is way smarter than I am.
Sure.
She's an analytical chemist, and she was a college softball player.
Yep.
And she just sat down and looked at me. She says, "I will not marry a man that does not chase his dreams. If you do not chase your dreams, in 20 years, you're going to look at my fault that you didn't get to be a national champ."
Sure. I can understand that. Yep.
She was graduated at the time, so she was working. She goes, "We're not rich, but we're not broke.
Sure. Yep.
So we're going to ride this through, and we'll see where it goes at the end."
Yep. Let's make some adjustments, things like that. Yeah. Yep.
And so I'm married. I go into my junior year. I'm having a really good year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down at the Wheaton tournament, and it's the only tournament. As I said, my parents were old. My mom was 44 when I was born, so my mom is
okay. Yeah.
At that time, in her 70s. She's never seen me wrestle in college.
Okay.
And I'm wrestling this kid out of Ohio in the finals, and she looked at him. She goes, "He's going to kill you." Because when was put together, he was just look. And I'm like, "Oh, I can handle this."
Mm-hmm.
And my brother turns around. He goes, "I think he's going to break you into pieces." And I'm like, "Oh, really? I'm better than you two think I am, and I can handle this."
Okay. Yeah.
So I go out and I beat him like 13-8. and then they actually stayed at our house in Kenosha. So
okay.
Then my father gives me a call. And Wheaton's it still is for the D3s. It's kind of that test tournament. If you make the podium at Wheaton, you're going to make the podium. 9 times out of 10, you're going to make the podium at nationals.
Oh, it's a good precursor. Sure. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Go home, and it's a big tournament. You're wrestling 5 matches.
Yeah.
You're a little beat up. So get up, have breakfast with my mom and my brother, and they take off. And my dad calls me, and we had a nice chat. And at the end of the phone call, well, he had called to see if they left, and I said, "Well, they'll be home about this time." And I said, "We're off next weekend. Cheryl and I are going to come up."
Nice.
And hang up the phone. And the next Friday, my wife gets done with work, and we pack up and we drive up. And I drive to my brother's house, and I walk in my brother's house, and my brother, my nephew looks at me. He says, "Hey, Grandpa shot himself."
Whoa.
And I'm like, "Well, what hospital is he at?" He goes, I don't know, Uncle Steve. He just I just know Grandpa shot himself. Everybody's out at the farm.
Yeah.
So I call out to the farm, and my sister-in-law answers the phone. I said, "Well, what hospital is Dad in?" She's like, "Dad's dead." This is 2 weeks before the national tournament.
Oh, man.
So my junior year, I go to the national tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Pound everybody to get to the semifinals.
Yep.
Semifinals, I'm wrestling a kid from Western Montana. Take him down, let him go. He takes me down, and I completely stop wrestling.
Wow.
And then in the backside of it, I lose to two kids that I had tech during the tournament. So I ended up at 6th again.
Oh, yeah.
So I end the season with a very sour taste in my mouth.
Sour not by choice, though, man. I mean, that was a sour not by choice. It was an unfortunate thing. That sucks.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's neither here. Just, that was the year I believe I would have won a national title.
Yeah.
My senior year, I come back, and I have a picture of this guy on my mirror at home the whole freaking year with that SOB standing on the top of that podium.
Yeah.
So we go back. He gets the 2nd seed. I get the 3rd seed.
Yep.
And we wrestle in the semifinals again. And this time I beat him 13-6. I took him down 6 times and just.
So this is senior year, right?
This is my senior year.
Okay. Yep.
So this kid, Randy Street, had wrestled at Nebraska for 3 years, and then he transferred back, and that's who I lost to in the finals.
Oh, man. You're there. You're right there. Ah, oh, man. Well,
so,
that's the struggle. So knowing what happened that year, I mean, was there any type of because I remember when I was a kid, there wasn't any of this mental stuff. It was just either you need to get out there and beat a guy or not. You didn't talk about the mental side of it a lot. Was that discovered through your training the next year? Did you find that was what kind of brought down the mindset of whatever you were trying to accomplish? Was that kind of the thing that you guys discovered, or were you just like, it was unfortunate?
With my dad?
You all just how, with that junior year went down, like, were you aware that was probably what brought you to that point as far as taking 6th kind of thing? Like what steps did you guys take to kind of maybe fix whatever you thought happened?
I was very blessed.
Yep.
One of my, cause I went from February 15th to March.
Mm-hmm.
I was at home working on the farm. I was at the funeral.
Yeah.
I came back first week. I went to my classes, but I was kind of a zombie, and I got my butt.
Yeah.
Up for the national tournament on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I didn't go back to class for a month.
Oof. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's tough. That's one of those things.
Well, it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was drawn to pros. You kind of take that, don't pity me, this happened to me.
Yep.
And professors looked at 2 of my teammates and they said, "Hey, where's Skarda been?" And they're like, "Well, his dad." She goes, "I know about his dad. That was a month ago. I haven't seen him in a month. Where did he go?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, my buddy goes, what night of the week is it?" She goes, "Wednesday." Well, he's at Fenway Park. So she sent them to Fenway Park, and they were big guys.
Yeah.
They pick my drunk butt up and they take me back to her office.
Wow.
She has a pot of coffee on and she hands me the phone and she says, "What's your phone number?" And she calls my wife and she says, "I am Professor such and such.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband is sitting in my office. I haven't seen him in my class in a month. And we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then deliver him at home because he's in no condition to drive."
Yep.
And that professor met with me twice a week till the end of the year and helped me understand that,
you're all right.
You're going to be all right. Your dad, it was an unfortunate thing that happened in the late 80s, early 90s. We were not equipped to deal. You put your nose to the grindstone and you get through it.
Yep.
And,
yep.
And you self-medicate with alcohol because
what else yeah, that's what you grew up, that was what was around. I saw it too. That's just what guys, people did when they were dealing with stuff. It's just how it went. But
by the summer she had me going in the right direction, and
nice.
I was definitely focused on what I wanted to accomplish, and time put in the work. My senior year, Kevin Bird would come and run with me and work out with me. And Dennis Hall would come the second semester. Dennis Hall came down twice a week and we wrestled Greco.
Yeah.
And and folk style for 2 hours in the morning.
Yeah. Yep.
And,
nice.
And then you national finals, and you go, shocking. You put in that much work, it actually works out.
Yeah. You do. It seems like you had, I mean, it wasn't not, people have parents that they're good sports, but it seemed like you had people just either knew that you needed something, but you had a good support system from teachers on to siblings on to anybody that was around you kind of understood, as far as what you had going on. So that's a big help too, to be able to get through something like that. Cause again, we didn't have mental mindset back then. We had you got to do this. So go do it and just figure it out and it'll work out kind of thing. That was tough.
Right.
So
rubs and dirt. Okay.
That's right. Correct. Yep. Oh man. Rough, dude.
Here's that, and I can laugh about this now. I wasn't laughing about it at the time.
I imagine.
So I lose national finals.
Yep.
Okay. And I get back to the hotel and I call my brother, the one that was at camp.
Yep.
And I was like, because none of it was on TV or streamed or that didn't exist.
Yep.
Yeah, I lost in the finals. And he goes, and you're still not a national champ.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, love you too. I didn't say.
So what was your reaction when he said that?
I can't. I'm not going to say it.
I can only imagine. What the reaction was at the time.
I heard a lot of
I'm gonna.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that was I mean, honestly, that's actually a pretty interesting college story, man. I mean, as far as the just your path in general wasn't your average path. Like you said, you were sitting around wondering what is this what I'm gonna be doing forever? Going to the military and then right from military going into college wrestling like that and putting yourself through a college degree. And so what did you go to college for?
I got a history major and then I got a special ed teaching license.
Nice. Okay.
So 5 years.
Pardon?
I taught special education.
Yep.
25 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I have a good friend of mine at Oshkosh West that teaches special education. So it's definitely not an easy occupation. That's for sure. So honestly, the stuff that you've been through, you've been pretty set up mentally to be able to handle some pretty tough situations. And so we'll roll into the post-college situation as far as getting out of college, you're, being married, having a family. And when you stopped college, you weren't in wrestling, but did you stay in wrestling somehow once you left the college room?
So I only had 3.5 years of eligibility.
Okay.
But when I broke my hand, I lost the whole year.
Yep.
So then I was a graduate assistant at Parkside for Coach Cook for 2 years.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, so you had the coaching side of it too.
Yep. And then when I got out of when I transferred up, when I graduated from Parkside, I went to Oshkosh and got certification for special education at Oshkosh.
Okay. And
then when I started student teaching, I was the assistant coach. So when Jerry Marking at Campbellsport retired and Mark Pearson took over, I was Mark's first assistant coach.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
And then I coached with him for 1 year, and then I got hired at Sheboygan South and was the head wrestling coach and a special ed teacher there.
So you're really not all that removed ever from wrestling. Wrestling's been in your family. It's been in your life. It's been just right all the way through.
Since I was about 3 years old.
Yeah. Wow, man. So these coaching opportunities, obviously you're able to help on the college level, but then even going to the high school level, where did you find it more rewarding? I mean, granted, college was probably a short time that you were coaching with those, but I mean, you got the experience to not only wrestle it, but then you're coaching it, but then to come to that high school level, was one more rewarding than the other?
Yeah. You know Jeremy Addis?
Familiar. I don't know him well, but I'm familiar. Yep.
So my senior year, Jeremy Ott beat Boone Smith. Boone Smith beat Jeremy Ott at the sectionals.
Okay.
And then Ott beat Smith at the state tournament, and they both came to Parkside.
That's pretty cool.
And they were 157, 158, and 167 pounders.
That's cool.
Guess what I with every day.
You.
I had a chip on my shoulder from losing in the national finals, so I wasn't a really nice person to wrestle with. So I coached, and it was like 3 years later. While I'm coaching, it's now the Jim Cook Open, but it used to be called the Wisconsin Open.
Okay. Yep.
Ballooned up 320 kids, and they always ran it on 6 mats.
Okay.
So I had gone to the rules meeting with Coach Cook, so I was eligible to officiate. I had never blown a whistle in my life.
Wow. Okay.
And Coach says, "Hey, Steve, we're gonna put a mat in the wrestling room, and then 6 out on the floor, and we're gonna pay you just like we're gonna pay the rest of the officials."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." 7 hours later, it's mat in the wrestling room. And they're like, "No, we got to keep going. We got to get this tournament done." And I'm like, either I stop the mat or I pee in the corner, but I have to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
So I walk down the hall and I go to the bathroom and I step into the gym and I see Pete George as the head official.
Okay.
And I go, "Pete, do we have like a rotation here or anything?" And he turns around and he goes, "Oh my God, I forgot you were in there."
You're just this official just kind of hanging out in one room and everybody thinks it's just us down here.
They put me in there to fend for myself. I did not take kindly to people yelling at me.
Good to know. Noted.
And it's much different now.
Yeah.
My is way different now, but I did not take kindly. And John Harms was one of the graduate assistants at Wisconsin. He's yelling at me, and I said, "I will take you outside and kick the living
shit out of you."
He's just like, "You can't talk to me. Well, then don't yell at me."
Right.
So
I would like to see an interaction like that sometime soon. If we could have just a little banter, and just kind of have some fun with it a little bit.
so that after that, I'm coaching with Coach Cook and going to school.
Yeah.
But Pete Wilson sits me down and he says, he was a mentor to me and he got me into stuff. And
yeah,
like everything in my life, I was a really good wrestler.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not a really good athlete at all. My wife is a much better athlete than I can ever dream of being.
Sure. I get it. Yeah.
But I'm mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to lose.
It's a good combo.
So, Pete kind of took me under his wing and I wanted to go. I was ready to ref the Wheaton tournament. And Pete's like, "You're not ready to ref the Wheaton tournament yet."
Oh.
So he kind of guides me through.
Mm-hmm.
Moved, and he kept in touch with me, kept bringing me, a tournament here and there when I had off in a schedule. He'd get my free dates, and then he put me to work.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I morphed in. But I ref college. I didn't ref much high school.
You got thrown into it though.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And then, I was a head coach for 10 years.
Yep.
And I got to the point where I was spending more time with other people's kids than they were. And trying to get them to do stuff, like to lift, and I ran camps and getting them to attend stuff.
Yep.
And I had a kid at home that's what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just done. Just done.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then, I taught up in Luxembourg Casco, and then my kids went to Luxembourg Casco to school.
Sure.
So, but then I really got into the reffing ass. Once I got out of coaching, I went full time into reffing.
Okay. But that first experience though, because you did continue to ref, what did that do? Like, how did that change your perspective? Did that change your perspective as far as coaching as well when you were being an official on that other side and knowing what it was like to be in that chair? Then you started to ref. Was it like, oh my God, like what was I doing back then? I can't believe I did this to guys. Or were you like, yeah, see, this is how you treat refs. I'm good at this. How did that happen for you? Was that kind of like an eye opener?
No, because I was very hard.
Okay. You're hard on yourself.
I was when you step on the other side, well, you have to know the rules.
Yes.
You can't know a match without knowing the rules.
Yep.
And so the issue I had is that I knew the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wasn't calling something, I would call them out on it.
Sure. Yep.
And I'm not always the nicest person when I'm calling somebody out, especially when you're dealing with one of my wrestlers. I want it my way, and that's just the way it is.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I had one official. I won't give his name.
No, you don't have to. Yeah.
This is back in the 90s.
Yep.
He's batch. And we're wrestling Oostburg. And Steve Rogers and I are looking at the table going, how the heck could you make that call? and we're in agreement.
Yeah.
He's actually arguing against his kid because he's like, I don't win that way.
Well, I get that. Yep.
And Steve's a great guy.
Yeah.
And the guy just looked at me, goes, call stands, and he dings us both.
Whoa.
So we table, and I'm like, back to our benches, and we finished the duel.
Yeah.
I had to walk in and hand him his check.
Oof, that's hard.
Oh no, it was. I went in with a specific intent. I said, "Here's your check.
Yep.
You will never rep at this school again."
That's even better to hear from a ref.
I have 3 more meets here. Consider them canceled. And then I walk into my AD's office the next day and I said, hey, I fired our official. Just so you know, he's not coming back.
Oh, man. So knowing a lot of this stuff, so as you kind of get into, your reffing career, what did you have a goal in mind when you started it? Was it, I just enjoy the sport enough, I'm going to keep doing it? Or was it, I actually kind of like this. I really like reffing. I consider it a sport now. I mean, you guys put a lot of work in out there. It's exercise. You might as well be wrestling. Was there a goal in mind with it?
It's the same goal I've had with everything I've ever done in my life.
Okay.
I want to be the best.
Be the best. I like that.
When I was a little kid,
mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a state champ.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, when I was in the service, I wanted to make the Olympic team. When I was in college, I didn't want to be on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a champ.
National champ. Yep.
So when I started reffing, I wanted to ref a national tournament. I wanted to ref in the Big Ten. I wanted to ref the state tournament.
Yeah.
So, if you're not passionate about it, don't do it.
Sure. Yeah.
You're going to pass it, then,
Yeah.
I obviously I've broken kids' hearts.
Of course.
Okay. A week ago, a kid from Harper College was a national champ for exactly 12 minutes.
Oh.
And then we had a video review.
Oh no.
And I had to walk. So end of the match, he drops down at an ankle. I start my 5 count.
Sure. Yep.
Crowd's going off, they're loud. I don't hear the kid behind me that's counting down because they didn't tap us. They just counted.
Okay.
And my assistant official isn't paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
So I get my 5th count off.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaches yell, time. I turn around and look at my assistant official and I said, did I have the 5th count before the clock hit 0?
Yeah.
Nope. I said, hey, and I knew the brick was coming.
Yeah.
It would have been a tragedy if the Western Wyoming coach wouldn't have thrown the brick.
Sure.
So I stepped up and I said, no stalling call. Brick comes out. And I walk over and I go, you have to ask him, what are you challenging?
Yep.
But I walked over and I go, you're 5 count? He goes, yep. He said, I think you got or it hit 0. So it came down to I started my count, or I started my 5 count right when the clock went from 6 to 5.
So does that count then?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I finished my count. My 5th count was going like this as it went from 1 to 0.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So and they slowed it down. And this is a coach's review, so I'm not allowed to look at it.
Okay. Gotcha.
And the guy that's reviewing it is taking like a long time. And I finally look at him, I go, Rex, for the love of God, when did I start my count? He goes, it was between 6 and 5. Good enough.
No more. Yeah, you don't need to know more.
I walk back up and go after further review. Stalling green. 1 red. We're going to overtime. The kid has been celebrating being a national champ for 12 minutes.
Oh, no.
Walks out and gets taken down 25 seconds into the overtime.
Oh, no. Don't go until you know, man.
and so, and Harper's down in Chicago.
Yep.
Coach there has been there since I wrestled at Parkside.
Oh, wow.
Leprino.
Okay, yeah.
And he goes, so how close was it? I said, within a half a second.
Yeah.
It's super close.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not thinking. I just had a stressful match, and I just want to walk to the locker room and hot water.
Yep.
I walk through the doors, and that kid is standing right there.
Oh, no.
And I get a full, and I didn't say a word.
Sure.
Yep. And I mean, obviously distraught, obviously upset. I lost in the national finals. I understand the pain.
You get it. Yep.
And Prino stepped right in and said, you cannot yell at him like that.
Yeah.
It's
cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah.
Wow. So as you started, reffing and then kind of going, what was like the first kind of highlight that you hit as far as a ref? What was that? Was it a national tournament that you finally got to, or what was it just a match that you were kind of excited to be in general? That kind of, that really was the spotlight for one of your first kind of highlights of reffing. What kind of moment was that?
Reffing in a Big Ten match.
Oh, okay. All right. Just a Big Ten match. Not even like the championships or nothing.
No, just, I got Chuck Yagla called me and goes, hey, I want to watch you ref. And when they assigned me, it was Wisconsin and I think it was Ohio State.
Oh, wow.
And, I've been doing this a long time, so I have guys that are kind of making that step.
Yeah.
But now they're a little kinder because they put you there with an out official that's more senior than you.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
This is the mid 90s.
Okay.
Daigle put me out there, and you're out there by yourself.
Oh man.
And the adrenaline's going, and it's just
you're alone. There's not 2 refs there for that.
Oh no, not. But 2 refs came about maybe 12 or 13 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, all by your lonesome up there, and you're getting it from
all angles.
The D1 coaches is a completely different kind of person, and they're just, I can't believe you made that call. But it's one of those things. When you get ready for a match, your adrenaline starts going. You get fired up. You have to be spot on.
Yep, on point. Yeah,
especially when you get to a certain level of tournament or a certain level of competition. You have to bring your A game every day.
Yeah.
But when you step away from wrestling, you got to find something to fill that void.
Sure. Yep.
Yep. And for me, it was coaching.
Yep.
And then and I want to officiate at the highest level.
Yep.
And so getting on the mat and calling a match, and
so you hear a lot of comments, especially in the crowd, how a ref is supposed to just maintain the safety of a match and not dictate the match, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that get skewed a lot as far as what a ref does believe is the right thing, as far as just keeping the flow of the match going and worrying about safety, not worrying about whether or not a kid's supposed to be doing this or supposed to be doing that, just allowing the match to happen? Is that a skill that you have to learn as far as dividing that up in your head when you're watching a match happen?
The same person that'll look at you and tell you that an official is not supposed to be part of the match. He's just supposed to award points and try to make sure it's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
When a kid's stalling his butt off against his kid, changes his tune completely.
Completely. I agree. I think I probably have been in that situation. Yeah. Yep.
And if you're wrestling on a mat that I'm reffing and you're stalling,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to call you for stalling, because I'm telling you I'm going to call you for stalling.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're getting hints right up to, we're walking back to the center and I'm going, you back out of bounds again, you're going to get a ding. I see you do that. When Kaiser kind of, coming up from out of bounds or walking back, I can see you kind of behind, just by their ear, just saying, hey, just so you know, you got this going. I can appreciate that, because some of these guys don't pay attention to what's going on, Right. It's so when you become an official,
mm-hmm.
you have to speak to both teams.
Correct. Yep.
Officials walk in and they have a scripted thing.
Really?
Yep. And they'll read. They read it to the teams and whatever, and I walk in. I'm very laid back.
Sure.
And I tell them my expectations.
Yep.
If you're wrestling on the edge of the mat and I say center, that means you might want to move the other direction.
Okay. Yeah.
You're laying on your belly and I say improve, or improve, you might want to do something other than what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's my signal to you that.
Yeah. Hey, well, and wrestling though too, and I think a lot of people don't know that.
But this is how I'm going to answer your question about not being part of the match.
Sure. Okay. Yep.
And I tell this to kids. This is my spiel. This
mm-hmm.
is how I look. So I tell them my expectations, and I said, now you have to understand, there are 3 parts to every match.
Mm-hmm.
So your coach's job is to coach you, not me. I don't need any help.
Yeah, it's true.
And my job, I said, your job or my job is to award points when earned and try to make sure nobody gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to put on a show.
Yeah.
There's not a single person sitting in this gym that's coming to watch me officiate. I know that because my wife is at home and she's the only person in my life that would come watch me officiate.
True.
So you guys need to put on a show and give the people what they came here to watch.
Yep. I agree.
And I just look at them and go, so put on a show, good luck, wrestle hard, and I walk out. That's my whole spiel.
When we had they had that like Kimberly like double duel thing.
Yeah.
And then even at the Fond du Lac one.
Yep.
The refs were holding like a script that they had to read out of. And
really?
Then the last thing that they said, because Petey got really excited because that's when he was like doing all his reffing stuff.
Yeah.
So they said, anybody who wants to be a ref, please sign up now. They did it at the coaches clinic too.
But while it is a valid point,
mm-hmm.
and again, this is just my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
While that statement is 100% true, we need officials.
Yep.
That is not the appropriate setting to bring that to anybody's attention.
I agree.
Because the coach is sitting there, he has a duel to coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids are sitting there, they have matches to wrestle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other than saying anybody's interested in being an official, your coach has my contact information. Please get a hold of us.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Please.
I really think on that aspect of officiating, we're approaching it from the wrong direction.
Okay. Interesting.
I believe my son started reffing as a freshman in high school.
Okay. Yep.
And if you're a high school wrestler and you have Sundays free and you can get a mentor that'll take you to kids tournaments, you can make $1,500 during the season. Easily.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives you a much better knowledge of the sport that you're participating in.
Okay. And 14's the cutoff age-wise for that, right?
Middle school. You can be middle.
Okay. Nice.
So I got him into it. I always ref next to him at kids tournaments.
Very cool. Yep.
And parents who are the antithesis of what's wrong.
Correct. We know.
Will stand when it's a student, will stand up and try to intimidate.
Wow.
All the time. Or they scream at them incessantly and they literally look at you and go, if I want to get yelled at that bad, I'll go home and mom yell at me. She's really good.
Yeah. I told an officer that one time when he was giving me fines and trying to yell at me about something. And I said, if I wanted to get yelled at, I'd go home and tell my parents what I just did. Very correct.
So I would ref next to him. And if a parent got up and started giving him a hard time, I would stop my match and walk over and go, hey, we're not doing this.
Nice.
You can sit down or you can leave.
Did you punch one of them? Like,
No,
no, that's
absolutely.
serious. Like, have you ever like genuinely was like, all right, well, let's take this outside
And
then.
we'll handle this because they're
And
going
then-
after your kid.
And then all of a sudden they like I know my dad gets pretty like driving.
Mm-hmm.
I think every once in a while you really want that person to stop their car and like. So have you ever had that? Yeah, have you ever had that like during a match where like the dad or son's getting really mean and you're like, please tell me,
say this one thing,
please.
I was driving down to Beloit on Thursday night to meet some friends to go to the national tournament.
Yeah,
I agree with your father. Okay, if I know it's snowing out, but if you're driving 35 on a highway with your flash, and you might want to stay home.
Yeah, they make county roads for that, guys. Stay off of the county roads, man. Get out the highway for the rest of us go-getters.
No. Well, obviously, I told you when I was younger,
Yep.
I threatened coach, but with maturity,
Yes, of course we all grow.
and you have an impressionable child next to you.
Yeah.
You over, and when they want to make a point about it, you just look and go, well, I'm going to talk to the guy with the microphone right there, and he's going to call 911, and the cops are going to show up, and they're going to take you away, not me.
Yeah, that's right.
So how far do you want to push this? It's the Kimberly Youth Tournament.
Oh no.
It's sarcastic. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yep.
That mom wrestling match was the match that my son looked at me and said, we are no longer reffing kids tournaments.
That was the best because honestly, X Factor is really good, as far as with Greco and stuff. And the mom from X Factor didn't win the Greco match on that one. She lost. She got tossed and then got rolled at the same time. It was disappointing, really. But so you guys there for that?
Yeah, we were like 2 mats over. Honestly, my son walks over and goes, did you just see that? And I'm like, what? He goes, well, 2 moms, we were rolling across the mat. He goes, that's it. We will no longer have a kids tournament. We're done.
And that's
okay.
That's the biggest thing too. So now obviously Liam's a freshman, so we've been able to see some of the high school wrestling, and we went down to state. Things seemed a little different from regular season going into state. It just seemed different. Stalling it seemed like it was just being called different. And some guys are different. Some refs you don't get to see all of them all year. And some guys react to certain calls and certain situations differently.
Right.
But as a like even as a when Liam was a youth, I've gotten vocal about things because either I paid attention to like a rule change or something like that, and then the ref wasn't getting it. So I've been thrown off mat side only once in my life, but we was down in McGuanago. It was freestyle Greco, and they had just changed that rule where you couldn't just let a guy shoot in on you and throw him. Right? You had to change. Right. You had to stop their action, change a direction, and then you could score points from there.
Right.
One of the first rules that I've really paid attention to and went up and onto the mat to watch the refs describe it and see exactly what they were talking about. So I was in tune. I was ready to go, you know. I'm watching 3 matches happen, and they're not calling these calls the way that they should have been. And I think the guy I think he was newer at the time. He was kind of new to freestyle and Greco. In all credit to him, I was probably the asshole that day. It's fine. But it was 3 matches in, and he was missing the call. And I wasn't saying anything yet to the referee. I was kind of mentioning it to parents. I'm like, he's not making that call. He's missing it. He's not making the call. And then he came up, and he did the same thing with him. And I looked at him, I'm like, what are you doing? He just scored the 2 points off of him right there. It's like he stopped him and changed the direction. And, just kind of got frustrated because of the 3 or 4 matches beforehand. And I was like, this is bullshit. And I shouldn't be doing that at a youth tournament. And that the ref had every right to look at me and be like, one more word out of you and you're out. Every right to. But I looked at him and I said, awesome. He kicked me out on awesome. So I told Randy, and I said, because the guy wanted me out of the building, and we had a snowstorm that day. And I told the ref, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I said, I won't stay on Matt's side. That's fine. I got guys here that can help coach him. I ain't going anywhere. I told Randy the same thing. I'll go sit on the opposite side of the gym so he doesn't have to see me, but I'm not going anywhere. And then I was vindicated because the head ref there pulled that guy aside because he had watched a couple of matches and told him, yeah, you're missing the call here. You these kids are changing the direction. You should be calling that. I told Randy specifically, I said, I get it. He's new. I said, but it was like 3-4 matches in and it was the same thing happening. And I just got a little tired. He goes, Randy goes, I get it. He goes, just stay over here on this side. If the ref's not on there in that mat, you can go to that mat, but just don't go there when he's there. I was like, not a problem, man. I can appreciate that. And I want to give him his space. So with the thing with state though, it seemed like stalling wasn't being called. They were talked to. The guys that were wrestling were getting talked to. You could see the ref saying, hey, let's go. There was not a lot of this. The hand wasn't going up. Kids are getting talked to. So, I mean, do you think, is there some kind of a change? And I'm not trying to create any kind of bad news or anything like that, but.
No, but it. So down at state, you got 8 mats, you got 20 officials.
Sure. Okay. Yep.
And to a non-official, the rules have to be called the same.
Okay.
Yep. We're human. We can't even tie our shoelaces the same.
Correct. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Everybody has a different take on it. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a different, like I said, I'm very verbal on the mat.
Yeah. Yep.
You're going to get hit for stalling because I'm telling you you're going to get hit for stalling.
Yeah.
And some people walk out. My first time down at state.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not your atypical high school official.
Yep.
Okay. I've reffed.
You've been around, man.
a lot. I've reffed big events.
Yep.
And I walk out with an official from a friend of mine from our association and kind of walk to the end of the hallway and you take a left and you're ready to walk onto the floor. And he goes, "Are you nervous?" Oh,
no. Yeah.
He's like, "Well, it's state tournament."
And?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been here before.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I know what it's about.
Yeah.
But I said, I was born to do this. This is kind of like my thing.
It's my gig. Yeah.
I said, I've been in this facility. I'm the first that ever reffed a dual meet in the Kohl Center.
Yep.
I reffed Wisconsin and Iowa State when Sanderson was still at Iowa State. So I had Cal Sanderson sitting there. I had Barry Davis sitting there. I was by myself.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is a walk in the park.
It's just a walk in the park. Just a guy who knows everything about wrestling, never lost. And then you got another guy over here went to Iowa and never lost, and they know everything. Yeah.
You know, but that official
Mm-hmm.
looks at the state with all due respect to the state tournament. It is a big thing.
Sure. Yeah, just ask him.
But if you, it's not a big thing.
Right.
I can't what I do. This is just another event.
Yep.
Okay. So I treat the state tournament just like I treat the first match of the season. I'm verbal. I talk to kids, you know.
Can you walk it? Could you please go to high school wrestling rooms and teach kids that? That's just another tournament. Just kind of calm down. It's not that big of a deal. You know, like, because the nerves are big. I mean, those, for these guys,
they are.
You know.
But he's a freshman. So my son, Zach, was a freshman and started at Luxembourg. Okay.
Nice.
And it was a royal pain in the ass because he didn't know how to cut weight.
Ooh. Yeah.
So between his mother and I, we were going to the health club. One would take him to the health club before school, and the other one would go to him after.
Awesome. It's kind of like
I didn't have to do that.
Well, no, you were in the basement.
And Zach had a great career.
Yeah.
Played twice. He had a great career.
Nice.
He never missed weight in his entire high school career. Was at the Cheesehead his sophomore year.
Oh, really?
And you know, after that, he qualified for state. But then his junior year, it was like the light clicked on.
Okay.
And he ate right. And he hates running. So he always told what he ate. He'd wrestle hard in practice.
To avoid the running. Sounds like Ben Askren.
Sounds like me.
They have to grow into their own. It has to be their decision. It can't be my decision or your decision.
Yeah.
You know, and he just got it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, and he's been all over the country. I mean, we've gone all over the country for tournaments, stuff like that. I mean, Iowa, Pennsylvania, all in Virginia duels, stuff like that. And it's still different. It's still different when you're in the Kohl Center and you've been wrestling in front of a total of or even reffing in front of a total of 64,000 people. You know, that's a big stack of people to watch. And a lot of times, 9 chances out of 10 at the youth tournaments that we're at, those big ones, it's not like that. It's a big venue, but parents are everywhere. You have parents and coaches are all over the mat. Whereas the state tournament, everybody's up and everybody's cheering, and it's just you guys down there. It's just the coaches, athletes, and officials. That's different, you know. It's a little more special. So what was the most nerve-wracking moment you had though? Was that one Big Ten match that you got to finally ref at?
I was nerve-wracking. It was a learning experience.
Learning experience, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I walked away from it with teeth marks on my tail because you get yelled at for everything, you know.
Yeah, right.
But it you know, at that level, they're looking at you going fresh meat. We're going to tear him to shreds, and they just on you.
Yeah,
I mean, they stuff that a high school official would tap the top of his head and eject you out of the match.
Sure, jeez.
Yeah. But at the college level, you know, and two of my mentors just looked at me and says, "You have to understand, these men are coaching for their jobs."
Yeah.
Okay.
They are. Yeah.
So if you have a thick skin,
yeah,
you can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
that makes more sense. I mean, they do have a little bit more online. I mean, it's not to say that high school coaches don't, but I mean, it's college coach's job. That's like what they make money doing. So yeah, they have a little more to invest in it than just the wrestlers that are there themselves. But when you kind of get into more of like, have you been to the Olympics or have you done any kind of international tournaments like that, like world team stuff? No, you haven't been able to do any of
that. I'm not officiating.
Okay.
I got to go to the Cuban Nationals when I was in the service.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, stuff like that. I've wrestled in big freestyle tournaments when I was wrestling for the Navy.
Yeah.
But then, you know, for the next 10 years, 4.5 years, I was finishing my college degree.
Yeah.
And then I started coaching, you know, and I just did repping as kind of a hobby.
Yeah. Yep.
And once I got out of it, then I went full time. And
yeah. So So I ask coaches this a lot, and because you have to put yourself in a mental state. I mean, reffing too. I mean, like you said, you walk out sometimes with, you know, your tail between your legs just because you're like, I just got to get out of here, you know, kind of thing. Because you got coaches after you. But with what you do and how you go out on the mat and the things that you do, what is your philosophy as far as how I want to ref and how I want things to turn, not necessarily turn out, but just to be for the match, to make sure that I do my job to the best of my ability? What's your philosophy going out into a competition?
I don't care.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah. You're not scaring me with that's fine. You have to have some type of, you know.
No. But I'm not being facetious. I don't care. Wins. I don't care.
Yeah.
I look at all matches that way.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, everybody steps in the 10-foot circle. They shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just this weekend, and Parkside 65-pound, who was ranked number 1 all season.
Shane Gantz, baby.
Yep. Lost twice. Lost in the quarters, lost in his first wrestle back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Poor Shane.
No, really. And I understand where he, you know, lost 1-0 last year. He's ranked number 1. Everybody that they made number 2, he beat. He had that brain fart in the quarterfinals. He gave up 2 takedowns in the third. And you know, but if you don't look at it, the reason I look at it the way I do is because if I look at it and I care, it could sway the way I look at the match.
Not having skin in the game. Yeah.
I don't. And that's the way I look at it, the way it is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that would make you a good official.
What?
Not caring.
Gantz got beat by a kid that if you walk in and you have an opinion, well, this kid's ranked number 1, and that's going to cloud your judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, does that kid pull that win off?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. You know, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't care who wins.
Totally.
That's for. I'm here to call a match.
Yep. I see you guys as judges, right? You guys are more about the rules of the game instead of the skin in the game as far as who's where and stuff like that. And that's my perception. And you've explained it kind of that way perfectly.
Well, you know, now this is Kakana wrestling. So I think about this. So,
yeah, bring it.
Okay. Cleaver starts the cheesehead. Yep. Okay. And he brings in this guy named Shane Sparks to announce.
Yep.
Okay. Shane will tell you, Shane and I are very good friends.
Yeah, Shane. I met Shane down in Madison. Good dude. Yep.
Okay. So Shane and I meet each other, and we both think we're a pair of arrogant assholes. I think he's an arrogant asshole, and he thinks I'm an arrogant asshole.
Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't like each other.
Okay. This is gonna be fun.
You know, now, you know, Shane, I have the utmost respect for Shane.
Yeah. Yep.
And what he does for the sport of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Shane is like me. He's a student of the game.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shane really in depth and learns. He beats with me once or twice a year. We have dinner. We have the rule book. We sit at a restaurant and we talk wrestling. We have a couple cocktails.
Yeah.
And just go through the rules, go through the rule changes. Because he wants to make sure that what he's saying matches what's happening on the mat.
I totally agree. Yep.
So Zach and I and a friend of mine, Eric, are driving back from a tournament in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I drop Eric off so he can go. And Zach calls. As soon as I get back on the highway, Zach falls asleep. Shane calls me. And we talked rules for 2 hours.
Yep. Yep.
And Shane goes, now let me get this straight. You're driving right now. I go, yep.
Yep.
You don't have a rule book in your hand. Nope. But you've answered every question on the rules that I've had.
Yep.
I said, well, Shane, don't walk on the mat with the rule book in my hand.
Right?
I gotta know it.
Right.
You know, it has to be second nature.
Yeah.
You know, especially at the college level where you have neutral danger, you have a drop down, you have a side headlock count, you have 45 degrees, you have 90 degrees. You can't sit and think about it.
Right.
And call it.
It's just got to be there. Yeah.
When it happens, you have to do it now.
Yep.
So, and like I said, so, and now Shane and I are good friends. He's, he's at the top of his game. He does great things for wrestling. I enjoy listening to his interviews.
Yep.
And I listen to him, and if he says something wrong, text him.
Sure. Oh, even better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll get a thumbs up from him when he looks at his phone during a commercial break or whatever.
Sure.
So, but then, and then you look at what the Chiefs has done for Wisconsin and bringing Wisconsin's wrestling level up.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere to what it is.
Yeah.
Back when he started in '97.
Yep. Yeah. Well, did he said it on I had Scott on. It was just before Cheesehead came. It was like the week, like the days before or whatever. And he was talking about, a lot of the guys that he just had on board right away. And I believe it was 97. So it was talking about guys out of Ohio, guys out of Illinois, some of the top places, Yeah.
Bill Harger out of Walsh Jesuit.
Yes. Yep. That was the one guy that he started it with. Yep. Man, what a brain to start that with, right? I mean, holy cow. So it's like, especially now with the officiating at some of these bigger high school events besides state, big tournaments, all that other stuff. Do you find a lot of those events that, especially at the high school level, do you find a lot of those events are more exciting for you guys, like in those types of environments? Because like you've been to state and all these, which ones are more exciting for you to do? Which ones get the blood flowing more?
Oh, a national tournament.
Hands down.
College national tournaments, yeah.
Okay.
State it's an honor to do state every time you get an opportunity to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
And especially for me,
because
I wrestled there and I came through that and I experienced that.
Yep.
But next level, I wrestled that and I was there. But again, the big difference between high school and college wrestling is when in high school wrestling, you're evaluated by the coaches.
Yes.
Okay. And at the college level, you're evaluated during the season. Like when I go and assist in a D1 match, I get an evaluation.
Is that from your peers though? Is that a peer evaluation or is that a coach's evaluation?
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I've done this a long time. I know most of the evaluations, but and refed with them.
Yep.
But yeah, I get, Brian Manzies out of Connecticut, and he sent me and he goes, hey, I noticed you're doing this.
Yeah.
Then you go back and watch the video and you're going, boy, I didn't know I was freaking doing that.
Doing that, yeah. Right on. Very cool.
But then, I go down and rep the Wheaton tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You get evaluated for that tournament. They have 18 officials. There's only 10 finals. There's people that aren't repping finals.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. You go to the national tournament for the D3s, there's 12 officials. 2 guys aren't repping a final match.
Is that a draw for you guys? Is that type of a draw system where you get notified like, hey, we want you to ref at this event? Or do they give you a schedule of what they want you to do for the year?
No, you set your own schedule.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they will say, hey, I want you at the Midwest Classic. It's the second week. Hey, you need to be here at the national duels because we're going to evaluate you because we're looking at you.
Oh,
you need to be here, but outside of that, you set your own schedule. And if you want to get to a national tournament, you have to be seen.
You got to put those other events in to be able to get recognized. Correct. Okay.
But then the whole time you're at the national tournament, you're being evaluated.
Is there a hierarchy? Like, are you picked before someone else? Is there for lack of a better term, union work? Is there some like a hierarchy? You started, you've only been here for a year. We want to keep you down here and kind of get your, lumps in. Then as you get better, we'll bring you up. Or do you just have people that are like wrestlers, natural at it, good at it, and they can excel right away?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Some really good wrestlers make some really horrible officials.
Sure. Yep.
Like some really, really good wrestlers make terrible coaches.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
But the evaluation process, I mean, they get the. So the first time I did a national tournament.
Yep.
You'll know you're doing a national tournament when they start talking to you. And I look at him and I go, talking to me. What the hell are they going to talk to me about?
Yeah, right.
Second tournament of the year, I'm reffing. Tim Shields comes over and he goes, great match. You did a great job. You're moving really good. You change levels really good. What in the hell are you doing with your hands? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Walking with him?
He goes, direct me back to the center. And I had my thumb up. Like this, and I towards the center. He goes, are you hitchhiking?
Just put the thumb down? Is that it?
Oh, he goes, that's like this. It's like this. You never point anywhere on a mat unless your hand's like this.
You hitchhiking?
Yeah. Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, so if you watch me officiate a match, my mechanics are much different than most of the high school officials I ref with.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's why.
Yep.
If you don't have good mechanics at the college level,
yeah,
you're not repping big tournaments.
So you got to practice in front of a mirror with that?
You practice in front of a mirror. You practice your count to make sure that it's 1, 2, that.
And almost watch a clock while you're doing it, so you're counting right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I'm the out official on a match, I can look at the clock I'll check the clock and say 10. I'm counting in my head. And then I'll peek back at it, and as soon as it's at 5, 4, 3, I never look at the clock again. I have that count in my head, and it's just
sure.
And when 0, I'm saying 0.
0. Okay, right on. Nice. Cool. So with that being said, as far as any kind, what's the longevity of some referees? Like how long are you think you're going to make this whole career?
Not long.
I was going to say, it's got to be taxing. I mean, not just the travel stuff like that, but I mean, I'll be honest. I put it on a couple of refs a couple times. I mean, it's abusive, man.
Yeah, but that stuff doesn't bother me.
Okay. You got that thick skin. You're good. Okay. So do you think you have, I don't know, maybe a time or two here where you might be able to get in? How do you get into those world tournaments, those, Olympics or things how do you get chosen for something like that?
No, I'm too old for that.
Oh, that's a good thing. I mean, honestly, if they're paying attention to that kind of stuff, like they know that guys after a certain point just don't want to do it, or do they give the guys the option? And if the guy thinks that he can do it, he does it.
No. U.S. The organization as you go up, you have to have your international, and don't quote me on this.
Okay.
I don't know, but I want to say it's like you have to have your international card by 42.
Oh, okay. I got you. The cutoff.
So, yeah, there's a cutoff.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. And honestly, that's a good, I mean, it's not a terrible idea. Cause I mean, after a while, if you're interested in doing it, you get to a certain point, you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, good Lord, it's hard, but cool. All right. I mean,
older guys doing it, but you had to have your card by 42
beforehand. Yeah. They got in the time. So, okay.
Right. I wasn't into repping it when I was 42. I was still coaching.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you missed that little point, but hey, I think you'd be great at it either way. Cause like you said, you go in with the mindset of, I don't care. I mean, I'm not here for you or you. I'm here just to make sure you guys are good to go. And then we call it done and we're done. So, But you got any questions for him? You kind of sitting over. I mean, you added a little bit, but you got any official? Because I think it's something I want to get you into.
I mean, it's just it sounds like it would be more difficult with like the vision part of it, because I know with our duels, with our duels we have that lamp, right?
In the dark.
Yeah. And I can see, but it's not the greatest for me. And
well, you don't have your glasses on either.
And I'm on the mat.
Hey, brother, I was legally blind when I was a child.
Yeah. So he's one of those kids where like he can see you in front of you, but as soon as like you're walking away from him, it all of a sudden just turns into kind of like a blur that's there.
When I was 5, I was 2,600 in my left eye, 2,250 in my right eye.
Oh wow! Wow.
So do they do that too? So like if you walk into the interview to be a ref or whatever, 4 glasses, do they like check to see if you can like see everything without the glasses, like if it's just in case, or do they go you have to wear the glasses?
Yeah. Okay. They just trust that you can see or not see things.
Correct.
Yeah.
You walk. I God, it's 20 some years ago. I had LASIK, so now I wear glasses again.
Sure. Yeah.
But these are my reader glasses, whatever you want to call them, and I have reffing glasses that have no rims on them at all.
Okay, interesting.
So, or I'll wear contacts when I ref. But
so we brought up the speech that those guys kind of bring in and talk about with the kids. Like, the one guy was like, please sign up. What is your message now that this is a decent area to do it? What is your message to these people, to anybody out there, not just the people that listen, but anybody out there thinking about reffing, but they're kind of afraid kind of thing? Obviously we don't like getting yelled at by people, but what is your message out there? Because a lot of you guys aren't getting any younger, and we got to bring, I see a couple Coleman kids that are reffing now. They're graduated from high school, but they're reffing. I see a lot of, some younger guys coming. It's just not a lot. What is your message to let these, people know, hey, come out and ref?
We're coming to a point in our sport, and not just wrestling, all sports.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay? That you're gonna have, like when I was in high school, and probably when you were in high school, you couldn't have matches on Wednesday nights.
Correct. Yep.
PCD and
yep.
It's getting close to where we're gonna have matches on Monday night. We're gonna have matches on Wednesday night. We're gonna have matches on Friday because there's nobody to ref them.
Yeah.
And you can't get. You can't have a match without an official.
You can't. Nope.
Okay. I've the issue. Get out, get licensed, find a mentor, join an association.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you're passionate about wrestling and you like sitting in the stands, you got a much better view on the mat.
You do. Very true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So you just need to talk to the people and get them to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, second of all, and I've talked to a lot of administrators and they have no clue what's going on when it comes to the officials.
Really?
When I reffing, it was $55 a dual meet.
Oh man.
And mileage. Okay.
Yep.
Then he took away the mileage. It was just $55. This is my 31st year.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
And now you get paid $80 to ref a dual meet, no mileage.
WIAA paid?
No.
Oh.
This and so I make it a point when I get a chance to talk to an administrator. I said, well, have you gotten a raise?
Yep.
And he goes, well, yeah, you sign a 2-year contract, whatever. And
yep.
Okay. You're 20 years behind in paying your officials. Here's the issue. The conferences want to pay or the conference commissioners are making, $5,000, $10,000, $12,000 to hire the officials. And they're not advocating for us.
Oh.
They literally say, well, if you're going to ref in my conference, this is what I pay.
They set the bar.
They set the bar.
That's
and
bullshit.
They don't care.
Wow.
Okay. So in conferences are figuring it out. You know, the conference over here that has Mishkat and Cedar Grove and Ozaki, they're paying $300 for a triple duel on a Thursday night.
Wow.
That all day long.
Oh man.
You know.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to pay officials. You know, if I go and rep a college duel at Oshkosh, I get $225.
Right. Yeah. Right. There's levels. Yeah.
No. But I mean, I walk in, I talk to both teams, I ref 10 matches, and I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I don't do weigh-ins. I don't do skin checks. I don't do any of that. I just show up by teams that I ref. Mm-hmm. So we have raised a generation of kids that don't value, you know, $80 is not enough to get them out of the house and go ref a match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'd rather sit at home, play their video game. And I'm not right or wrong. That's just what
right.
do.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a while. I was just out with my friends last night. Whoa.
Yeah.
So we have to do something that's more enticing. And you know, I refed with a kid named Garrett out of Luxembourg. He drove from Luxembourg to Neenah, refed 12 JV matches, assisted me in the varsity match, and drove home, and they paid him $45.
Oh my God.
By the time he got a burger and put gas in his truck, he lost money. And any fool that looks at me and goes, well, when I started, you know, we didn't do it for the money. They only paid us. Well, okay, we're not idiots.
Yeah, right?
Money.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been talking to a buddy of mine in New Jersey and a buddy of mine in Ohio. They actually have a wrestling school, an officiating school.
Yeah. Really?
And then they bring them in. And they teach them the rules. They go through the rule books. They go through the mechanics.
Yeah.
And then they have a tournament. You know, so like you go to Kakana, you set up match, and you have these guys actually ref.
Interesting.
You know, get their feet wet, get them. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like the coach's clinic, but longer and more of a ref
biased,
yeah.
ref geared.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's simply, you sit down, you teach them the rules, and then you allow them to apply what you're teaching.
Yeah.
And you have like a fall tournament.
Interesting.
So they get to blow the whistle, you know, and they'll bring 25 guys through. Well,
yeah.
You could add 25 guys to our association.
Oh.
When Mike Kozik stepped away from the Fox Cities Wrestling Officials Association, we had over 65 guys in it.
Now how many you got?
29.
God, man. Holy cow. And that's just this area.
Correct. And of that 20, the guys that are under 45, I can probably count on one hand.
And that's where I'm coming, because I've seen a lot of you guys around for a while. He's been wrestling since he was 4. So I know almost all these guys that have been doing it. And, you know, like I said, I did notice a couple kids. We were just at the conference tournament here for middle school kids. Saw some of the newer guys on the mat, but they weren't as new because I'd seen them before, but I wasn't seeing new faces. I wasn't seeing new faces at state. Now, I may not know every single person, so you could be like, oh, no, wait, this person's new. But it's not that much. You know what I'm saying? It's not that exorbitant amount coming back in. So the attrition rate is obviously much higher than the retention rate. So what's the problem? Does it start with the letter P?
Parents.
Well, pay is a big factor.
Pay?
Yeah.
Parents?
We really need to have a mentoring system.
Yes.
And I've said this for a long time. These guys are my friends. Mike Blazik, Brad Sievers, Larry Gores, great officials.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. They always rep together.
Yeah.
Okay. They had their schedule, and most weekends it was those guys were repping together.
Yeah. Yep. By design.
Look,
By design, that's what they tried to do was to
their schedule. They went and did it, and they,
Yep.
And I said, where you're hurting us is you two should go over there and take him with you, and then me and this guy should go over here and take him with us.
Yeah.
And get them in, bring them in. You can't let these kids swelter in JV and middle school matches for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You have to go along, get their feet wet, let them rep on the varsity level. I'm not throwing to the dogs, right? But you got to get them in.
Yep.
And show them that there's progression to move forward.
Yeah. Levels. There's levels, man.
There is, but
Yep.
but it's getting them in and giving them the opportunities.
Yep.
I
agree.
And I came at high school officiating from a completely different angle because I came out of college.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
So when I was coaching, I started my own tournament, and I wanted the best officials. So I was paying. I had a 16-team tournament. This is 20 years ago. I was paying $300. I started at $300 when everybody else was paying like $180.
Yeah.
And when I finished in 2005, I was paying $350 for the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I fed them well, and took good care of the officials and the coaches, and it was a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, then I got out of coaching. The tournament went away. And now there's schools that are paying $225.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Battle on the Bay is a 32-team tournament. They paid $275 this year. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
And John Shevchek's a really good friend of mine. He's been a mentor of mine.
Yep.
His son head coach there. And I said, John, I went down to North Central in Illinois on Friday night. They paid for my hotel room. I got up, had breakfast, started repping at 9, finished repping at 3:30, drove back to Swamico, and was 3 drinks in by the time you got to the bar. And he goes, yeah, they paid me $525 to do that. You started at the same time, ended an hour later than I did, and they paid you $275. And it's a 32-team tournament. I said, so
yeah.
I don't want any tournament to lose.
No,
but
right.
You have to start paying officials what it's worth.
So I'll put it this way, and because I was kind of new to that side of the refereeing, I hadn't really known until I started the Sawdust Nationals that goes on in Appleton, right? I wasn't aware. So and I contacted Dujardin because it was the one guy that I knew at the time. I was like, hey, I need you to put together a team of refs. I had no clue what pay was. No idea, I can't believe I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he had a list of his own kind of pricing as far as like this many, matches or whatever it was. It was kind of something to go off of. I'll tell you right now, that list that I got was not spelling out that I needed to pay the refs that much. Whatever, whatever. He said, so kind of going off of like what you were explaining, like you were up here, did this same situation. I'm getting half. So to not even really, like, I didn't want to disrespect referees because I know what they're doing and what it takes. So and you're telling me now, like they gave you a hotel room and all that other stuff, but mileage, I'm like, holy cow. So you guys are really kind of getting gypped out on some of the stuff as far, and gypp's a bad word, but I mean, it's just not playing out in the end in the advantage of you guys to even want to show up.
Right. Well, you got to remember, I'm 58 years old. Right. My kids are grown.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've always been a grinder. That's what I was a grinder as a wrestler. I'm a grinder as a coach. I was a grinder as an official.
Yep.
I work 12 hours at a tournament. I won't like it, but I'll do it.
Yep.
But you better take care of me at the end of the day.
I totally agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Yep.
Time is money. My time is worth money.
Yep. It is.
Okay. And I think I'm a little above average as an official. So
yeah, I agree.
I put a lot of work into what I do. And I take pride in what I do as everybody I work with. I'm not saying there's officials that they all take pride in what they do.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
They're all spending time away from their families.
Yep. Correct.
Okay. And then when you get to be in the age group that I'm in, well, you start to have health problems. You know, and you starting to break down, and you're starting to.
Yep.
And when you don't have any, you know, you're not turning around and looking, going, well, in 5 years that guy will be doing a sectional, and that guy will be doing a sectional. This guy I'm going to have at the D3 level, he'll be doing regionals. We don't have that.
Oh, okay. It makes sense. That's heavy. That's heavy, man. It's just like you said, you're looking back and you're hoping oh no, there's not that. Well, okay.
I said, my son, he officiates with me.
Yep.
Okay. He refs college. He refs high school. He's an exceptional young official.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so friends of mine that I work with, you know, at the college level and ref D1's tournaments with, and they look at Zach and they're like, hey, you know, mechanically, you know, you might want to do this, and, you know, you might want to. And Zach just stopped them and he goes, look, you see that guy over there? And he looked at me and he goes, when he's done reffing, so am I. And he goes, I officiate because my dad officiates every weekend.
Yeah.
And if I like hanging with my dad, and if I want to do stuff with my dad, I have to ref.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So I already know what the end game is for Zach.
Yep. He's got his mindset on what he wants to do, and he's there for a reason. Yep.
Right.
I get it.
You know, I don't want to chase like you do, Dad. I enjoy doing it, but I don't want to.
He's doing it with you. He likes doing it because he's doing it with you, and that's pretty special. You know, are there a lot of? Is there another father-son combo ref?
Yeah, you know, Scooby's son got into reffing. Dan Sharonbrock's son got into reffing.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. I did see him out a little bit.
Yeah, we misery to our children. We do it well.
Right on. Well, Steve, we've had you here for quite a while, man. I really appreciate you sitting down with us. It's a different perspective. Finally, you don't get to hear, because you guys go through a lot. You know, you guys, the distance you travel and the things that you guys go through at tournaments. I think people, you can always say the unsung hero, but I believe you guys are underappreciated. I've been an asshole on one end, my end as well, as far as how I've dealt with things, but I've always walked up to that ref afterwards and I've talked to him about it, not left it as a, you suck and kind of stuff. Like, hey, I need to understand this more because apparently I didn't understand something far enough. So please explain to me, and I'm just here to listen. I'm sorry what I did during the match. Let's talk it out, kind of thing. Yeah. So,
you know, the whole thing about not caring is then I can walk out of the school, and I can walk across the street and have a beer.
Yeah,
and everything's good.
And everything's fine because there's no skin.
Right,
no skin.
I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
But we can do this anytime.
That'd be great. Because you brought up the Shane Sparks thing, and I already had things going in my head turning a little bit because I talked to Shane this past week in that state, and I was like, that'd be a great combination to have for a show, to have Shane and Steve on at the same time, kind of talk officiate. Because here's the thing: is WI Wrestle, those guys cover a lot of Parkside and Badger stuff like that. So I don't get into the whole rules of it, but man, do I watch it. I'm watching constantly, and having a guy like that, and then having your experience on the mat like that, especially someone that's from the area, that'd be a great show to have. That would be a great show to have. So I might reach out to Shane and see if we can get you two together on that.
That would work. You're involved afterwards, but I'm just saying.
So here's another thing that I thought about. Actually, there's a couple places right in town here that has some nice wide open spaces where we could sit down and have a podcast and just have some drinks together doing a podcast. So, we'll get the brains together and kind of talk a little bit and see what we can pull together. But with the off season here, hopefully maybe we can do something. But I'm going to get out of here. I do want to talk to you for just a second when I hang up the machine here, and then we'll go from there. But we'll end it with some music that you can't hear, that nobody can hear. I have not figured that out technology-wise, but it's pretty cool if you actually go back and listen to the show. Brian Winans, you know Brian?
Yep.
Yeah, his dad made the song. Jason Winans. Good dude. So I'm going to hang up with the crew now. It's been Steve Skarda with us, one of the probably, I think, best official in the state. I don't want to be too biased, make other guys angry. He's the best because he came on the show. If you guys want to be the best to come on the show, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. But thanks again, Steve. It's been me, Liam, Steve Skarda, Vision Quest Podcast. All of our episodes are brought to you by Appleton Tattoo, located at 117 South Appleton Street in Appleton, Wisconsin, right off the main drag on College Avenue. You can't miss them. I've had some work done. I have a Celtic cross that covers my back that was done by Jason. We're not done yet. Jason Winans and crew, the artists that he have there, those guys are the best in the Fox Valley. They are definitely one to go to if it's something that you've just been kind of throwing around. They'll make you feel comfortable. It's a very clean environment, very nice crew, and very willing to get done whatever you need done when you need it done. You can message them on Facebook. I know they're on Facebook. You can give them a call at 920-604-8289 and get in touch with Jason Winans and crew at Appleton Tattoo, located again in Appleton, Wisconsin at 117 South Appleton Street, right in Appleton. Very flexible hours, great crew, clean environment again. I would not send you anywhere else except for these guys. Appleton Tattoo.